Register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
Welcome to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am your host, Benjamin Dixon. Today is Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020. Thanks so much for joining me. It has been an eventful 24 hours. The president of the United States has essentially declared war on peaceful protesters, even though he said he is the president of peaceful protesters. As he was saying that, he literally was gassing and beating, using the police force of Washington, D.C., DC police, as well as military forces and Secret Service forces, beating them out of Lafayette Square so that he could go and take a photo op using the Bible. He has instituted or called up the 1807, basically the Sedition Act of 1807, which gives him the ability to deploy troops into the United States. There's a caveat, obviously, that he has to get permission from the governors. Even though in his speech yesterday, he said that if the governors don't want the assistance, that he will bring it anyway. Basically saying that he's going to trample all over the 10th Amendment. He will trample over the 10th Amendment, ignore states' rights, and bring in the military. Clearly unconstitutional. Clearly outside the bounds of what is acceptable. Clearly outside of his oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution. Now, who's going to protect us from the president if he's the one who's supposed to be protecting us from enemies domestic and foreign when he is the domestic enemy? This is the quagmire. We don't really have any machinations to rid ourselves of a president outside of the impeachment process. But when the impeachment process has been mired down by hyperpartisanship and feckless opposition, we really have no mechanism to get rid of the president of the United States, who is a threat to the United States of America. He is a threat to the different branches of government, to the separation of powers. He is a threat to states' rights. And all of this is okay for people who otherwise cry out about states' rights all the time. That's because it is perfectly okay for them so long as the dictator, who is now the authoritarian ruler of this country, is basically on their team. Doesn't really matter if he's giving them any material benefits, because we see that they always vote against their own best economic interests, just so long as he is owning the libs, burning America to own the libs. That's what we're facing right now. So who protects us? Well, we have to protect ourselves. The police state is out in full force. You can see it every single day, all day long. You see these pigs have let their teeth, their fangs hang out. They are out and they are abusing the masses. Reporters, video after video showing that the police are directly targeting reporters, people who have cameras, cameramen from news stations. MSNBC's reporter last night literally got shot with a tear gas canister. It bounced off her arm and then they got chased. Video after video showing you that there is no freedom of the press. The police state is crushing all dissent. It is crushing the media, all under the direction of Donald Trump, as well as the various mayors across this country. Because unless these mayors are simply spineless cowards who don't have any ability to hold their police force accountable, unless that is the case, then every mayor had to have signed off on all of the activities that we saw last night alone. So who's going to protect us? And here now we have the response from the quote unquote opposition party was a sternly worded letter. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer released a letter basically saying that we need a president to bring us all together. And then this morning, to add insult to injury, Nancy Pelosi decided to take a picture, a photo op with a Bible like Donald Trump did last night in front of whatever church was, the president's church. So the response, the opposition to the president of the United States declaring war on the American citizenry, on dissent, on Black lives, on anyone who refuses to capitulate and bend the knee to his fascism, the response from the quote unquote opposition party was to take a photo op and replicate what he did. What are you trying to do? Out evangelical him? You know how many people are laughing at you right now, Nancy Pelosi? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My voice has gone to a whole nother pitch because it's hilarious. It is utterly hilarious. Everybody is laughing at you this morning. There can't be a single liberal. I'm not going to be surprised. I'm sure maybe some of you listening in this audience, since I'm broadcasting on so many platforms now, maybe some of you thought it was a good idea. If you thought it was a good idea, leave a comment in the comment section so everyone can, no, I was going to say so everyone can dogpile you. But it really is, that cannot be the extent of the opposition from the most powerful woman on the face of the planet. Nancy Pelosi has more power than some presidents of other countries. And her response to the authoritarian shift of the president of the United States is to take okay. I got to remember I'm broadcasting on a whole lot of platforms now, so I'm going to watch my language. The best response that she could give was to replicate the photo op, to hold the Bible up. I don't care what she said in the speech. And then Joe Biden, Joe Biden had a couple of good moments in his speech. I'll let you search it out yourself. I'm not going to play it in here because I've got too much to say to waste time listening to him. But Joe Biden, he had a couple of good points. But the thing that bothers me the most is this idea that if we just get rid of the violent people in the protest, then everything will be okay. That is itself a propagandistic tool that gives President Trump the room and the space that he needs to crack down on everybody. Because they're not just looking for the violent protesters, they are crushing every protester. They're not just crushing protesters, they are literally crushing reporters, reporter after reporter. Insult to injury. It goes one step further. Not only is it the military that's in the streets, the National Guard and the police forcing agencies across the country, we now have armed white right-wing militias marching in lockstep with the police. They have been unofficially deputized to be in the streets. And so while the police are chasing down people who are breaking curfew, you have white militias who are not officially a part of the law system, but they have been given the authority because they've been given the okay by these policing agencies. We are being patrolled by not only a fascistic police state, but by right-wing white nationalists. And the best response that we can get from the Democratic Party is Nancy Pelosi doing a photo op, calling Donald Trump, saying he's doing a bad thing, right? But what good are the words? I need you, anyone who thinks that she did the right thing, I need you to ask yourself this serious question. What can her words change if she does not take action? Now, that's as nice as I'm going to be about it, all right? Because I'm trying to be kind to my new audiences. I know I've got a whole lot of other platforms that are streaming me now. I'm going to be nice. Patrons, don't you worry. We're going to tear this place up in a few minutes. But I really want you to ask yourself the question. If she has as much power as she has, why is she not? And I'm going to go one step further. Where is the rest of Congress? Where's the House of Representatives? Where are the senators? Bernie Sanders, where are you? I know a lot of people are saying, well, he's doing the best he can. It's not enough. This has escalated. This has escalated to the point where we literally need everyone to go one step further than they ever thought that they would. If you never thought that you would impeach the president of the United States twice, it's time. It is literally time to impeach the president of the United States a second time because he is trampling on the Constitution. Your words, unless your words are, I impeach, then they're meaningless. Because that is literally the only mechanism that we have to protect ourselves. Now, granted, we need to change that. We need to make it so that we are never again stuck with a president for another 6 months. A reckless president who has sat by and presided over the deaths of 107,000 Americans, only to turn around and use the police state to crush legal protests, not just violent protests. And that's why I have a problem with Joe Biden's speech. I have a problem with Barack Obama's tweets because what's happened, and they know this. This is and I know my audience, my regular audience. I know you know this. They are complicit. You have to understand this is not a Democrat and Republican thing. Conservatives on social media, they are loving it because it just gives them the opportunity to own the libs, right? That's as far as their brains can think. Other than that, they are probably legally brain dead. But so long as they have an opportunity, conservatives on social media have an opportunity to quote unquote own the libs, then they are going to go along with it perfectly fine. But the ruling elite, They understand how dangerous this protest is to their power because the consent of the governed is being revoked. And that audience is growing. The number of voices who are saying that this government is illegitimate is growing. And they know, both Democrat and Republican, the ruling elite, the billionaire class, the people who buy politicians for a living, they know that if enough people are outraged at this country enough to take to the streets, then they have lost all legitimacy. They understand that. And so they have used Donald Trump to be the bad cop. Nancy Pelosi is the good cop, saying, behave yourself, Donald. Donald Trump is the bad cop going in and crushing the dissent. And at the end of the day, the ruling elite, everyone who's worth probably $200 million or more, $100 million or more, everyone who has a vested interest in protecting this infrastructure the way it is, this political and economic infrastructure the way it is, they're safe, because they never really have to pay the piper. The problem is that the protests have evolved beyond George Floyd, as it should. George Floyd, God rest his soul, was the flashpoint. But the problems go so much deeper than George Floyd. The problems go so much deeper than police brutality in the black community. What we know is that police brutality in the black community is an ever-existing problem. But what we also know is that it is just representative of the total police state, which we see on full display. The police state is what protects the rich and the powerful. If they don't have their guns, then what's to stop us from changing this country to be a better nation? A nation that serves everyone instead of the top 1%. And so the police, I don't care. Look at New York City. Case in point is New York City. New York State and New York City ran by Democrats, probably the worst police state in the nation. All right, we'll pick this up right after I breathe for a second. Let the music breathe. All right, I wanted the music to breathe for a minute so I can come back and make this point very crystal clear. The powerful in this country really do not they don't care about political party. They care about a singular ideology, and that is an ideology of capitalism. That is an ideology of neoliberal capitalism and imperialism abroad. In other words, it is an ideology of wealth, income inequality. It is an ideology of labor being exploited. It is an ideology of you having to go back. I mean, it's just so that I can make it plain. It is an ideology of you being forced to go to work during a pandemic so that they can maintain their quarterly profit margins. They don't care. They will see thousands, hundreds of thousands of people die in order to meet their profit margins. And that is the core ideology of the people who are in power. And I want to remind you that the people who are in power now, the regime that is in power now, is not what America began as. Okay? And that I'll put a pin there. We're going to come back to that after the patron party. I will come back to that. What we are dealing with now is the post-World War II order. This is what came into power after World War II. This is not what America was before. Yes, America was racist. America had problems with Jim Crow. America had problems with, obviously, there were so many problems with America, but we compounded the problems after World War II. After World War II, we instilled an imperialist regime that was focused domestically on extracting as much profit out of labor as possible. It was a reaction to the New Deal. The New Deal enshrined labor-friendly principles, people-friendly policies. It wasn't the best thing in the world, but it was the best that America had ever done. And in reaction to that, a new regime came into power after World War II and dominated. This regime that is in power right now, it is the culmination of all the presidents post-World War II. It is a culmination of the military-industrial complex. Ask yourself the question, why is it that we can't go a single day without dropping bombs? That's because there are people in this country who make money off of every single bomb that is dropped. Those are the people that are in power. Those are the people who are the billionaires. Those are the people who will let you go back out to work, force you to go back out and work in this pandemic. And those are the people who have redefined, they have warped what it means. They have entirely stripped away the revolutionary spirit of America. Case in point, the people who are out, the militia, the armed white militias that are out there right now, that are out there cleaning, they're cleaning the banks. they're taking the graffiti off of the banks, even though the banks have so much money that they don't even have to flinch to get that cleaned, right? The people who are out there who are fighting on behalf of the police, these white guys out here in the streets with bats, they're fighting on behalf of the police state. That is the service and capitulation. That is completely antithetical to what America was. America was founded on a revolution against the police state of King George. Okay, it was the brutality of the British tax collectors using the policing forces to extract as much taxes as they could that exacerbated the situation, inevitably leading to the Revolutionary War. And now we have this twisted ideology that has been inculcated. Everyone has been indoctrinated with it. Literally everyone born in America has been indoctrinated with the idea that patriotism is service to capital. Patriotism is service and acquiescence to the ruling elite. Patriotism is sitting back and allowing America to bomb countries into oblivion abroad and sing God Bless America as bombs drop on innocent people. That is what we have defined patriotism as, and that is a intentional propagandistic campaign that has been pounded into the minds of every single American, including me. That's why I can recite the Declaration, the preamble to the Constitution with absolutely no hesitation. And that's why you could sing the lines of the national anthem and recite the Pledge of Allegiance without any hesitation, because you too have been properly indoctrinated. And that thing is so deeply rooted in America that you would be, let me say this. Patriotism, whether how good or how bad, nationalism, however good or however bad, has been so inculcated in the minds of Americans that I honestly do not believe that there's any way to win this war without it being wrapped in the flag. That's why I've updated my bio. Last night I updated my Twitter handle to have the Antifa flag in it because I am anti-fascist. And we are dealing with a fascist in the White House right now. And the people that you want on your team when you got a fascist in the White House is Antifa. But then I thought about that thing because I'm thinking about all the people who have no idea what Antifa is, and we have to teach them and educate them, right? And to remove the fear away from them. But you know what else we're fighting against? We're fighting against lifelong propaganda. The minds of the people of America have been so indoctrinated. They are so attached at an emotional, damn near spiritual level to this country that they will reject anything that seems foreign and a threat to it. And they themselves will cling to the flag. And if the only person that's clinging to the flag is the fascist president of the United States, then you're going to find more Americans than you want to believe. You will find more Americans than you would ever hope there would be in existence following along with Donald Trump. Because at an emotional, spiritual level, it is too much for people to grapple with the fact that they have to reject everything that they have learned. They have to reject everything that they have been told about this country, black people included. You know how many black people are going to cling to the flag? You know how many black people are going to would rather be quiet and allow Donald Trump do what he does because they have a very emotional, a visceral reaction to anyone who would attack America. That's why it was so easy for black folks to turn on Jeremiah Wright when he said, "Goddamn America." Now, I believe that goddamn America. But at the same time, I'm in this to win this. I am in this to win this. Period. Point blank. There is nothing else that matters than us crushing this police state and for us to actually have the freedoms and the liberties in this country. And if we have the freedoms, if we, people like you and me, actually have the freedoms and liberties in this country that we have been promised, then by definition, we will stop American imperialism abroad. The problem is that people like you and me don't have power. And the reason we don't have power, besides money, is because Americans have been so dogmatically propagandized that they will reject you quicker than they would reject Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump is wrapping his shit in the flag. Meanwhile, they think we are some kind of foreign agents. Why do you think, and I'm going to bring this full circle, why do you think the Democratic Party keeps referring to these protests as being Russian-based? Why do you think that is? Because they know the power of the programming. And they know that these protests are as much a threat to them as it is to Donald Trump. I want to, in a very crystal clear fashion, define them. Them are the beneficiaries of the power structure that took control of this country in the post-World War II order, hinged on the military-industrial complex. It was brought in based on the military-industrial complex. And both political parties have become subservient to it. Both political parties acquiesce to it. And both political parties are beneficiaries of it. They are all making money off of the order that was brought into power in the post-World War II era on the back of the military-industrial complex. And all that means, for people who don't know what I'm talking about, all that means is every ship, every jet, every gun, every bullet, every bomb that is dropped overseas, somebody here in the United States gets paid for it. A lot of somebodies get paid for it, including, at the end of the day, your politician. Somehow, some way, your politician is constrained by the military-industrial complex. And that is the illegitimate regime that is completely antithetical to the revolutionary spirit of America. Not just the revolutionary spirit of the founding fathers, but of the labor movement of the early 20th century, the people who got us the 5-work day, who got rid of child labor, the revolutionaries that have always been American. And so it is extremely difficult as leftists because most of what we've been programmed with has been a rejection, a very necessary rejection of Americana, of American propaganda, of all the programming. For us to become free, we had to reject America, because in our lifetimes, in the lifetimes of our parents, in the lifetimes of our grandparents, some of you are so young that it's been in the lifetimes of your great-grandparents. All America has been a military empire abroad using a police state domestically to control all of the revolutionaries, all of the people who look at what America does and said, no, that's not how we're going to do it. They use the police state to crush us. So for all of our lives, everything that we've known, our parents have known, our grandparents and great-parents have known, has been this twisted definition of America that is not American. It is not democratic. It is not about democracy. It is not about civil rights. It's not about human rights. What America became in the post-World War II order on the back of the military-industrial complex was fascistic. It was fascistic that required a police state and a propaganda machine the likes the world had never seen. And we are living in the fruits of that. This is why they got to practice, man. They made their hay. They sharpened their teeth in the black community. This is why what Black Lives Matter and black people have been fighting for has been inseparable from the progress of America. This is why black revolutionaries have been the people who could lead this revolution. because we understand that what America was doing in the black community, it was only a matter of time before they started doing it to everyone. And the ruling elite in this country cannot remain in power without the police state. And right now, today, there are people who are taking a look in the mirror and asking themselves the question, can I live with the police state or am I willing to lose power? And those with integrity, the very few with integrity, are willing to lose power. But the vast majority of your mayors, your governors, your elected officials to Congress, your elected officials to the Senate, and yes, most certainly the President of the United States, they would rather use the police state to crush our patriotic dissent. Don't let anyone call you anything other than an American revolutionary, because everything that we are doing is the quintessential American thing to do.
Go to www.patreon.com/the BPD Show and support the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Here we go. Very special welcome and thank you to all of our newest patrons without whom this show is entirely impossible. Welcome aboard to Brady Armez. Thank you for becoming a patron. Bartlett Ferguson. Thank you for becoming a patron. Sagan. Anthony Carabala. Kurt NJ. Thank you for becoming a patron. Aria Jadzia. Thank you for becoming a patron. Bounce. Nestor Gonzalez. MDL. Michael Molesky. Taryn Abernathy. Justin Yakowski, thank you for becoming a patron. Massimiliano Caron, thank you for becoming a patron. Crancy SS, thank you for becoming a patron. Michael Klein, Josh Gladwin, Daniel Bartnett, Carol Drought, Andy Scroggins, Austin Edwards, so many new patrons. Seth, Team JK, Antonio, Maria Adams, very, very special welcomes to the one and only A.D. Barkin, Eclectic L Cat, Robert McCullough, Omar Pandhair, Ethan RC, Zach Lassen, Larry Daniels, Anika Reitman, Anita Willis, Satara Mohammadi, thank you for becoming a patron. William Sanford, Vance Sarita, Matt Pizza, Brian Albini, Logan Highland, Joshua Horwitz, and Sherry, Cam Slaughter, David Gallanders, and Cardholder, and Joshua Murray. There's so many. Thank you all for becoming patrons. Okay, let me breathe. Everybody bow. You too can become a part of this prestigious and prodigious patron family by going to patreon.com/the BPD Show, where you get twice the content, uncut, unfiltered, and uninterrupted interviews with none of the advertisements like you're going to get right here. Whew.
Welcome back to the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Yep.
Visit us online at www.thebenjamindixonshow.com.
Yeah. Man, that welcome back. Welcome back. That patron party, man. Yeah, I appreciate everyone who's becoming new patrons. Your support is critical, but man, that's a workout. Just going through those names is a workout. Thank you for enduring it for everyone who didn't have your name called out, but kind of enjoy it for everybody else. Folks like the name called out. Hell, I've been doing this for years, and when somebody says my name on their show, Sam Cedar said my name on his show one time. I'm like, oh. He said my name. So it's not a vanity thing. It's like, I think it just gets all of us. So shout out to everyone. I'm happy to be able to call your name out on the air because I love hearing my name on air. All right, let's get back to this, the matter at hand. We have to capture the flag. That's the point of today's episode is we have to capture the flag because if we do not, we will be up against tens of millions of people. In fact, I think it's arguable that we have the opportunity to really show America. In a time where Donald Trump is showing America what American fascism is, we can show them what a real American revolutionary spirit is. I mean, there's no better juxtaposition than Donald Trump crushing the rights of citizens who are protesting peacefully, crushing the right of the media. No better time or opportunity to show them that, quite frankly, the real Americans are the people who are in the streets protesting. The real Americans are the people who are putting their lives on the line because they see the brutality of this police state. The real Americans are the people who are not afraid to show that what's going on in this country is unacceptable. What this country does domestically is unacceptable. What this country does internationally is unacceptable. Stop allowing them to get the cheap wins by wrapping their fascism in the American flag. We need to wrap our revolution in the American flag, not only because it's the smart and strategic thing to do, but also because at the core of it, it is the truth. The ruling elite of this country that are hiding behind Donald Trump is not democratic. It is not American. It is fascistic, and it must be brought to bear. And this is our opportunity. Patrons, stay tuned. Everyone else, thank you for being a beautiful audience. I will see you tomorrow.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.